Mining News, sponsored by First Quanta Minerals Limited, operating Kansanshi Mining PLC, and FQM Trident Limited.
Let's now take a look at the headlines from the mining news. The mining sector expects boost in rail freight following €50 million EU funding. That's the story that's coming up in detail shortly after this.
As FQM, we believe in the four core values, which I've seen myself going through and experience along the way. We believe in being bolder, smarter, driven, and together. And these things have encompassed our work culture in FQM, and I've learned to apply these things even outside my work activities, because it's an opportunity that we've been given to actually be able to apply yourself. So being bolder is being able to approach a problem and being able to solve it with the ability to be able to think outside the box and be able to stand up and say, I believe this is a solution and this can work. And there's a lot of opportunities. Solutions don't just lie in our managers, in our superiors or senior management. Solutions come from any person who's bold enough to say, look here, I believe this can work. I believe we can change the way we do things.
Now, the Zambia Chamber of Mines says it anticipates an increase for freight transported by rail following the government's securing of a €50 million grant, which is about 1.3 billion kwacha from the European Union for the rehabilitation of the Zambia Railways track from Kapirimposhi to Ndola. Now, Chamber Chief Executive Officer Sokwani Chilembo describes the funding as a major milestone for improving railway efficiency in moving goods and services within the mining sector. And economist Professor Felix Masie adds that the rehabilitation of this railway line will ease pressures on roads which currently carry heavy loads. He also notes that many businesses, not only in mining, struggle with high costs of road transport, while rail, the cheaper alternative, has been unreliable.
The railway sector remains a key driver of Zambia's industrial and trade development, yet latest figures show it continues to play a minimal role in the country's export performance. According to the Zambia Statistics Agency, the total value of exports for the period of January to September 2025 stood at 244.9 billion kwacha, with rail transport contributing only 1.7 billion kwacha, ranking third among all the modes. In terms of volume, rail accounted for just 19.2 thousand metric tons out of 6.7 million, representing 0.3% of total export. Despite these low figures, the government is moving to revitalize the sector. Zambia has secured a €50 million grant, about 1.3 billion, from the European Union to rehabilitate the Zambia Railways main line from Kapirimposhi to Ndola. Zambia Chamber of Mines Chief Executive Officer Sokwani Chilembo and economist Professor Felix Masie have weighed in on this development.
We look forward to increasing the amount of freight that goes onto rail as a result. Yeah, so it's a big help. It's a good thing. It will help overall efficiency. Yeah.
This is important because we are producing more copper, and we certainly are seeing the investments in the northwestern province. So some of those goods should be on railroad transportation or coming through via railroad transportation. But because of the dilapidation of the infrastructure, both the trucks but also the wagons and so on, it has been difficult for most businessmen and women to rely on railroad transportation for the transportation of goods and services. And so they've tended to resort to road transportation, which, as I said, isn't.
With the EU grant in place and rehabilitation work set to begin, Zambia's railways are poised to play a bigger role in both exports and imports, easing transport bottlenecks and boosting economic growth. Niza Vomo, Diamond News.
Let's now take a look at the mineral commodity prices.
Mining News, sponsored by First Quanta Minerals Limited, operating Kansanshi Mining PLC, and FQM Trident Limited.
Now, from the mineral commodity prices, we have 4 minerals closing off in a positive closing price and 2 closing off in a negative closing price. So let's begin firstly with aluminium, which did close off in a positive with a closing price of $2,874.50 US. Copper did close off in a positive with a closing price of $10,827 US. You have zinc as well, which closed off in a negative with a closing price of $3,066.50 US. Nickel did close off in a negative as well with a closing price of $15,053 US, and lead closed off in a positive with a positive closing price of $2,063.50 US. And finally, you have tin there that closed off with the closing price in a positive there, $36,617 US. Those are your mineral commodity prices. Overall, that's your mining news. We take a quick break. On the other side, we have more news items coming up.
Mining News, sponsored by First Quanta Minerals Limited, operating Kansanshi Mining PLC, and FQM Trident Limited.